In this video, we're going to talk about the status of U.S. embassies and consulates worldwide, which embassies are open, which embassies are closed, and which embassies are processing cases in the moment. We're also going to talk about a little bit about the MVC backlog and what to expect with visa interviews moving forward in the next few months. So make sure you watch this video until the end, as we have specific embassy updates that may be of interest to you. So what are you waiting for? I'll see you on the other side. And welcome back to our immigration channel. This is a place where you get the most up-to-date immigration news, immigration information, and everything else that you need to make your immigration journey less stressful. My name is Jacob Sapochnick, and I'm an immigration attorney located in San Diego, California. We work with clients in all 50 states and all over the world, specifically helping clients reunite with their families as they are stuck overseas, trying to get their visa appointments, trying to understand when this mess is going to end. Well, in this video, I'll give you an update as to what we know at the moment with respect to certain embassies and consulates and what's happening generally with the State Department as they're planning to finally reopen and start adjudicating cases in a normal way. So first of all, let's talk about some of the changes that are coming from the State Department, specifically applicable to the month of November. In the month of November, non-immigrant visitors who are fully vaccinated are going to be able to come and enter the United States. That means that so many family members that were separated from their loved ones that didn't have immigrant visas are now going to be able to come and visit the United States and visit their family members that are currently inside the United States. What we also know is that all embassy workers in all over the world are fully vaccinated, and the embassies are fully equipped to handle interviews by putting more facilities, by putting security measures to allow applicants to enter embassies and conduct interviews in a safe way that will not jeopardize the health of the U.S. consular officers. As you remember, this was a major excuse as to why they're not reopening, as to why they're not able to conduct interviews. Well, now it seems to be that facilities are equipped and ready to take on interviews. But the fact of the matter is that this is still not happening, and interview appointments are still delayed. Many clients and subscribers of this channel are asking, why is the State Department not able to conduct interviews remotely or via video conference calls? According to the State Department, they are saying that it is going to jeopardize the security, the risk factor of people being able to be screened. The bottom line is that by statute, they are able to do remote interviews. And in fact, some embassies, like the U.S. Embassy in Tel Aviv, they were able to do Zoom interviews for children under a certain age. If they're able to do that in one embassy, why not expand it to more ages and to more applicants that may not pose a risk, and just routine interviews will be able to allow them to take more people and be able to fight those backlogs. So that is an issue that still remains unanswered. The fact of the matter is that out of the 236 issuing posts, there are currently 236 embassies and consulates worldwide that are issuing visas. Out of these 236 posts, only 95 of these posts were actually scheduling non-immigrant visas, tourist visas, student visas, J1 visitor, and all other remaining non-immigrant work visas. Only 95, that's about 40% of posts. Why is that happening in 2021? Remember that out of these 236 posts, 94 of these posts were completely closed. This is insane. Completely closed, 40% of these embassies are closed, not processing any non-immigrant visa interviews or immigrant visa interviews. At the same time, 141 posts that are actually issuing visas are not fully open. They are partially closed. They are limited operations. In fact, if you stick to the end of this video, I'm actually going to go into individual embassies, as we do every single month. We provide you a breakdown of the different embassies. Out of these 141 embassies that are actually working, many of them are working on a limited capacity to this day. And the only way to get an appointment in some of these partially closed embassies is through the process of expediting your appointment, a process that we've been doing for the past year since it was available under the national interest exceptions. With respect to the embassies that are actually open, the wait times to get interviews increase from 100 days in April to over 200 days in September of 2021. And this is specifically for non-immigrant visas like tourists and certain work visas. So on average, taking over 40 days for non-immigrant visa to get an appointment. Student visas have it a little bit easier. They're waiting about less than 28 to 30 days. And the reason we provide you the statistics is because those statistics are available for the public. They don't publish specific statistics for immigrant visas. The situation with immigrant visas is not better at all. And while I tell my clients to be patient, the backlog at the National Visa Center is still very, very concerning. Currently, there are about 494,000 immigrant visas pending at the National Visa Center to be scheduled for an interview. These are applicants that are documented complete and are ready to be scheduled. So far, out of this number, only 25,000 immigrant visa interviews were scheduled. This is pretty bad, and it looks like this backlog will continue for at least another 19 months. That's why it's important for you guys to be realistic, because unless something dramatic will happen, this backlog is not going to go anywhere. Now let's dive into some of the individual embassies and also some reflections as to what's happening with their office to be able to give you some indication what may happen with your case as well. For the U.S. Embassy in Moscow, this is an update from this week. All immigrant visas applicants must travel to Poland, Warsaw for their interviews. The U.S. Embassy in Moscow is not accepting any interviews at the moment. And the reason this is happening is because unresolved tension between U.S. and Russian diplomats. So it's important for you, if you're watching this video and you have a case in Russia, you're going to go to Warsaw, and it's important to contact the U.S. Embassy in Poland to be able to try to facilitate the process of your case moving from the MVC to the U.S. Embassy in Poland. Now let's continue with our list. Our next embassy to cover is going to be the U.S. Embassy in Jordan. The U.S. Embassy in Jordan is working on limited capacity. They do take expedited appointments. They're currently processing IR1, CR1 visas that are documented qualified from September of 2020. The next embassy is the U.S. Embassy in Kazakhstan. This embassy now resumed full operation. They're taking immigrant visas, non-immigrant visas. They're processing K1 visas on a regular basis. Currently, they're working on IR1, CR1 cases that are documented qualified from August of 2020, and they're moving to September as well. So if you're in that embassy, make sure you communicate with the MVC and work with the embassy to see where your case is and when you're going to get your interview. The next embassy is the U.S. Embassy in Mexico, Ciudad Juarez. I know people are asking about this embassy a lot. This embassy resumed full routine operations. They're really an example to how an embassy should operate. They have enough support staff. They have enough consular officers to process. They're processing immigrant visas, K1 visas, other family petitions. They're obviously working based on the tier system, as we mentioned before, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and 4. But we know that currently CR1, R1 cases that were documentally qualified October 2020 are getting their interviews. And also people from before, depending if their interviews were canceled, they're being contacted by the MVC to get their cases sent to the U.S. Embassy in Ciudad Juarez. So this embassy is working pretty good. Also, they are processing non-immigrant visas, but I think our focus right now will be on immigrant visas because we get a lot of questions on that. So if you have a case in that embassy, if you're from Mexico, make sure that you contact the MVC to figure out when your case will be sent to the U.S. Embassy in Ciudad Juarez. Moving to the U.S. Embassy in Morocco. The U.S. Embassy in Morocco is working on a limited capacity. They're only taking emergency appointments, and they're processing very limited immigrant visas, specifically IR1, CR1 cases that were documentally qualified in August of 2020. Also, non-immigrant visa students, J1 holders, and some non-immigrant visas are also being processed at this embassy, but it's definitely working in a limited capacity, very, very slow, and hopefully we'll see some movement in the next few months. Next, moving to the U.S. Embassy in Trinidad and Tobago. This embassy is working on a limited capacity, still processing immigrant, non-immigrant visas. For immigrant visas, they're processing IR1, CR1 cases documentally qualified in September of 2020. They're also processing K1 visas. It's really slow, but they are doing it right now. And remember that this particular embassy is very responsive for expedited requests. As long as MVC approves it, you'll be able to get your emergency appointment as soon as MVC expedites your case. Next, we're moving to U.S. Embassy in Saudi Arabia. The U.S. Embassy in Saudi Arabia is working in full capacity, routine visa services. They're processing non-immigrant visas, immigrant visas, IR1, CR1s, cases documentally qualified October, November of 2020. They're doing work visas, J1, F1 visa, student visas are being processed on a fast, regular process. With respect to immigrant visas, it's definitely moving fast. This is a very organized embassy, just like the one in Mexico, and we hope to see more of those embassies continue to reopen and start cutting at this backlog. So this is it for the embassy batch roundup. We're going to do more embassies next time. We do another video on that. But it's important for you to know that if you're from Russia, you cannot do embassy interviews there. You have to move to Poland. Any other questions you have, post them in the comments below. If you're here for the first time, click the notification bell to subscribe to our channel. As always, it's a pleasure, and I'll see you in the next video.